All right, we're at South by Southwest 2013 with the one and only legendary Wes Craven. How are you?
I'm good, Paul.
Good. Well, we're really, really excited to see you here. We didn't expect to see you here, but you're here for Yeah. And can you explain to us a little bit about what that is?
Yeah, TV is an interactive streaming system that shows movies, but it shows them with all sorts of added information and interviews that you can access either while you're watching the movie, or you can stop the movie, go to an interview with me about the scene you're watching. There are quizzes. There are, you can vote on things. It's taking like a director's comment on DVD times 100. You know.
Did you ever think that when you're making these films, you'd have to come back years later and mess with them a little bit more?
No, when I originally made my films with stone tools, I thought, no, it's amazing. I like it because just when you think your income flow has stopped, a new platform comes along. But it's also, obviously for a new audience, it's very, very familiar with the world of the web and all of the different permutations that the web is. Somebody said to me last night, movies, you can't talk about a movie as a thing just for screen. A movie is just the content, and it can be in now hundreds of forms.
Well, your films have been tinkered with and remade and all that stuff, so it's probably not so bad to go back into the well, so to speak, right?
No, not at all. And I think if you really love films, then you want to know about how they're made. You want to know what a star's like to work with. You want to know how the director or writer thought up the idea. So it's just that enhances your viewing experience. It doesn't do anything to spoil it. So in fact, it just makes it a lot better. So that's what TV does in spades.
Well, what's your most interesting little tidbit that we would see from one of your films on Yeah?
Well, it's like this is a good example of how I devised Freddy, and everything about him was figured out down to the T, from the glove with blades on it being something of a combination of the brain hand sort of loop that the scientists tell is what allowed each to get incredibly beyond what most animals have. And sweater colors were out of Scientific American. It's the two colors most difficult for the human brain to put side by side. All that stuff you can talk about that on TV, and there's room for it because you can stop the movie, so you don't have to try to cram it into one little moment where the claw's on screen.
Did you ever think that Freddy Krueger would take off the way that it did? I mean, it's crazy.
No, I never thought any of my big hit pictures would take off, and it's funny with Nightmare on Elm Street, for instance. There were 3 years where I showed it all around Hollywood, and nobody thought it was a good idea. There's one guy in New York, Bob Shea, on a tiny little storefront company, New Line Cinema, and I don't think Bob knew that there was anything there more than an interesting film. And then suddenly it takes off, and Bob becomes part of a gigantic studio, and I go on to have an opportunity to make a lot of more films because of that one film. So it's one of the great things about doing it, and everything that you think is going to happen usually doesn't, and then something great will happen.
Well, what's next for you? Because we can't wait to see your next film.
Oh, possible Scream 5, who knows. I'm working on a comic book series, a 5-issue series called Coming of Rage with Steve Niles, and I'm starting to work preliminary work on my next original script.
Oh, that's great. Well, the last thing we wanted to ask you, the show's the Drew Pearson show, and Drew famously caught the Hail Mary catch. And there's got to be a Hail Mary moment in your life where you just kind of had to go for it, and you didn't know if it was going to work out or not, but it did.
Well, I think, writing Nightmare on Elm Street, for instance, was a Hail Mary thing. I had done 2 films back to back. I had a little bit of money in the bank for the first time in my life, and I decided to take a year off and write that script, and which I did, and went through most of my money. And I thought, well, okay, now the film should start. Somebody should buy it, and I'll have that income. And didn't come, so I went totally broke in the next 2 years. And then, the film becomes a massive hit. So the Hail Mary pass was up in the air for a long time, but eventually I grabbed it. So yeah.
Well, good. Well, hey, thank you so much for doing a little overview with us. Thank you so
My
much.
pleasure.